LeBron James named his only rival in NBA history, not Jordan or Kobe. LeBron James is not just one of the two greatest basketball players to ever live, he's one of the greatest athletes to ever lace them up. As he enters his 23rd season, still playing at a preposterously high level, it's a good time to look back at some of his greatest rivalries throughout his illustrious career. James has played for 3 different franchises over 4 stops in Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, and Los Angeles. He's made the playoffs in 18 of his 22 seasons, won 41 postseason series, and appeared in 10 NBA Finals, 8 straight from 2011 to 2018. Needless to say, King James has had his share of battles with players gunning for his throne. He's mostly silenced those ambitious superstars, especially in the Eastern Conference, but to say LeBron hasn't been bested quite a few times would be foolish. One of the best arguments for Michael Jordan's GOAT case is that he dominated his era in a way that James hasn't, 6 championships in 15 seasons versus 4 in 22. There are even teams who could argue that they had LeBron's number during his prime, at least from a wins and losses standpoint. No one has been able to stop James individually, but again, he's lost 14 playoff series in his career. Who does the King himself credit as his biggest rival? LeBron James gave interesting answer for his toughest rival. There are numerous examples of players who have a claim to the enviable label of LeBron James' biggest rival. The guy who made him work the hardest for wins and even bested him a few times is a badge of honor, considering James' place in NBA history as arguably the greatest of all time. James told NBA TV who he believed his biggest rival was back in 2013, snubbing the likes of Kobe Bryant and the man he regularly competes with in the GOAT debate, Michael Jordan. However, if he was asked now, he might have a different answer. As of 2025, several names come to mind. Kevin Durant, who he faced in 3 NBA Finals, 2012, 2017, 2018, and lost 2 of them. Durant battled James for the top small forward in the league and is a top 20 all-time player in his own right. Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and the San Antonio Spurs also took 2 of 3 NBA Finals from James, 2007, 2013, 2014. The 23-year veteran has repeatedly given Leonard his flowers for being one of the toughest defenders to go against. Stephen Curry and his Warriors faced James in 4 consecutive NBA Finals from 2015 to 2018, winning 3 of them. 2 of those series featured Durant as a Warrior, as they formed one of the best teams of all time simply to beat LeBron after his miraculous 2016 3-1 comeback. Truth be told, plenty of players and teams have gotten the best of James throughout his absurdly long career. Many of these losses weren't his fault, but rather due to the strength of the opponent and or the weakness of his supporting cast. Nevertheless, James had a different name for his toughest rival, at least back in 2013. The chosen one credited Paul Pierce as his biggest individual rival, although he made sure to emphasize that he doesn't see the game of basketball that way. James thinks of basketball as a 5-on-5 sport, so it tracks that he might consider those Boston Celtics Big 3 squads as more of a rivalry than just Pierce himself. I would say that I don't really have an individual rivalry. I think the closest would be Paul Pierce. Nevertheless, James calls Pierce his toughest individual matchup. Pierce played LeBron's small forward position, and the 2 of them specifically had several legendary battles from 2008 to 2012. LeBron's Pierce and the Boston Celtics was an intense rivalry. James faced Pierce's Boston Celtics 4 times in the postseason in a 5-year stretch, going head-to-head in the 2008 East Semis, the 2010 East Semis, the 2011 East First Round, and the 2012 East Finals. James notched a record of 2-2 against the Boston squads that featured Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and a young Rajon Rondo. For the first 2 series, James carried an undermanned Cleveland team against 4 potential future Hall of Famers and lost in 7 and 6 games, respectively. Pierce averaged just 19.4 and 13.5 points in those victories, but defended a young LeBron surprisingly well. James was surely outgunned by a team as great as Boston, but it's indisputable that Pierce was a tough matchup for him at that stage of his career. The King got his revenge over a then-aging Boston core in 2011 and 2012, averaging 28.0 and 33.6 points in those wins. Down 3-2 in Game 6 of the 2012 East Finals, James delivered one of the best performances of his career with 45 points in Boston. Miami won Game 7 and went on to secure James' first title, unofficially ending Boston's reign in the East. Although the Spurs and Warriors had better records against James in their matchups, it's easy to see why he considers Pierce his greatest rival. Maybe he would feel differently today, but I have a feeling he might say the exact same thing.